From the very first page of the Bible, we discover that God is a gardener. He plants a garden called Eden. And looking at the world around us, God as a gardener makes sense.
Now, we are made in God's image. But when it comes to gardening, I miss that bit of the image of God.
I like the idea of God planting seeds in our lives. Little ideas that lead to big things. But like the parable of the sower, not all those ideas are going to become realities. Some will fail to germinate. Some are stolen by the devil. Others grow but are choked out by our own ideas about what's good for our own lives. And some grow to be fruitful.
Now, we are probably stretching a metaphor a little bit here. But when you think about it, the seed in the parable is described as the message of the kingdom. That is, the gospel. And the gospel is a set of truth or ideas that we accept and believe. God loves us. We are sinners. Sin separates us from God, and Jesus died so that sin could be removed. These are ideas that when we accept them as true and build them into our lives, they set us free.
So what seeds might God want to plant in your life?
You might just be reading Isaiah 43, or John 3 verse 16, or 1 John 4. In each of those passages, it tells us that God loves us. God loves me as a seed dropped into the soil of your heart. And for the first time, you might just believe that to be true. God does love me. I am loved by God. Realizing those words are really true is the seed germinating, coming to life, and then it starts to grow.
Ultimately, that seed will produce fruit. Seeds of its own. If God loves me, I can love myself. I can love others. I can have self-confidence. And serving God will be a joy and not a drudge. All because I'm loved. And each of those seeds is going to go on to produce their own seeds. And before long, your life is going to be a garden full of flowers in bloom.
Now, when God tells you that you're loved, but you don't believe it, you think God loves everyone else, but not me because I'm unlovable. That's the seed falling on the path. It fails to germinate.
And when God tells you that you're loved, and someone else tells you that you're ugly or stupid or both, and you believe them instead of believing God, that's the enemy stealing the seed.
Or when God tells you are loved and you believe it, but there are too many other things in your life, so you forget or ignore God's love. That's the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choking the word and making it unfruitful. Selfishness or greed will always kill God's love in our lives.
But when you let that seed grow, when you water it and feed it and weed out the selfishness or the doubt, your life comes alive.
Now this is just an example. But what if the seed was, you need to start praying for your mate Dave, for him to get saved? All the same things apply. Feed it by doing it. Weed out that doubt that says, well, Dave is never going to get saved. He doesn't need God anyway. The next thing you know, you're finding a good way to share the gospel with Dave. And then it's others. And the next thing you know, you're a full-blown evangelist. Just from one seed.
Or maybe the seed is you need to start helping out more. Now when that seed becomes a plant, there's going to be all kinds of good rewards in your life.
Maybe you never realized those little thoughts were God's gardening. But now you know. So recognize them and nurture them.
From the very first page of the Bible, we discover that God is a gardener. And looking at the world around us, it's...
I need to get past the first sentence. Just from one seed.
Or maybe the seed is, you need to help starting out.
Keep going.
Need to start helping out more.
Oh, we were nearly there. It was going so well. Shame on you. How hard is it? You need to start helping out more.
Oh, no.
God does love me. I am loved by God. Really realizing,